It was a bright morning at Heathrow Airport. The sound of rolling suitcases echoed through the massive hall, and travelers hurried toward their gates. Among them was a young black woman named Amanda, carrying her 6-month-old baby in her arms. She wore a simple white dress, her face calm yet proud, the kind of dignity that comes from quiet confidence. She was about to board Flight 237, a business-class seat. Destination New York. At the check-in counter stood Emma, a blonde flight attendant with a polished smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. As Amanda handed over her ticket, Emma's gaze shifted from the baby to the ticket, then back to Amanda. Her expression changed, from politeness to disbelief. "Ma'am," she said, her voice dripping with arrogance, "this ticket is for business class." Amanda nodded politely. "Yes, that's correct." Emma hesitated, then leaned forward, lowering her voice. You do know this section is reserved for business passengers, right?" Amanda's lips curved into a small smile. "Yes, I am a business passenger." Emma looked uncomfortable, but instead of apologizing, she forced a laugh and printed the boarding pass. "All right then, just make sure you keep the baby quiet. People pay a lot for peace up there." Amanda didn't reply. She simply took her ticket and walked away with her baby, her steps graceful and silent. When boarding began, Emma noticed Amanda again, this time walking confidently into the business class cabin. The other passengers looked at her curiously. Some smiled kindly, others whispered. Amanda sat by the window, her baby gently sleeping on her lap. Minutes later, Emma entered the cabin to begin service. Her eyes immediately found Amanda. With every small thing Amanda did, adjusting her baby's blanket, asking for a pillow, Emma's irritation grew. She approached with a fake smile. "Ma'am, please keep your things in the overhead bin. Business class isn't for clutter." Amanda looked up politely. "It's just my baby's essentials. I'll keep it tidy." Emma sighed loudly. "I'll take care of it," she said, grabbing Amanda's bag roughly and shoving it into the bin. The baby stirred and whimpered. Amanda looked down, whispering softly, "It's okay, sweetheart." Throughout the flight, Emma's behavior grew colder. When she offered drinks, she served everyone with warmth. Everyone except Amanda. She placed Amanda's glass of water on the tray with a loud thud. Water spilled, wetting the baby's blanket. Amanda gasped. "Please be careful, it spilled on my child." Emma rolled her eyes. "Maybe you should have held the glass properly. I can't do everything for you." Amanda's eyes filled with silent anger, but she stayed calm. She dabbed the blanket with a napkin, ignoring the passengers' stares. Some were clearly uncomfortable, yet no one said a word. After a while, the cabin grew quiet. The hum of the engines filled the air. Emma returned again, pretending to tidy up, but really just hovering near Amanda's seat. "Excuse me," Amanda said softly. "Could I get some warm milk for my baby?" Emma smirked. "We don't usually serve that, but I suppose I can make an exception." She walked away, muttering under her breath, "Unbelievable. Who brings a baby to business class?" When she returned, she placed the milk roughly on the tray, spilling a few drops. "Here, try not to make a mess." Amanda looked at her with steady eyes. "You don't have to be rude," she said quietly. Emma laughed. "Oh, come on. Don't play the victim. Some of us actually worked hard to be here." Amanda froze for a second. "And some of us did too," she replied gently. "You shouldn't assume based on what you see." But Emma wasn't listening. She turned on her heel and walked away, shaking her head. An hour passed. Amanda's baby finally fell asleep again. She closed her eyes, trying to find peace. But suddenly she felt a tap on her shoulder. It was Emma again. "Ma'am," she said sharply, "could you lower your baby's blanket? We have to maintain visibility during flight." Amanda frowned slightly. "Visibility? He's just sleeping." "Regulations!" Emma snapped. At that moment, one of the senior stewards noticed the tension. He walked over, his voice calm. "Is everything all right here?" Emma crossed her arms. "This passenger is being difficult. She's occupying a business class seat that might not even be hers. I think there's been some mistake." Amanda took a deep breath, keeping her voice steady. "No mistake. My husband booked it for me." Emma raised an eyebrow. "Of course he did," she said mockingly. "And who's your husband?" "Some CEO." Amanda simply replied, "Something like that." The steward looked uneasy. "Emma, please let her be. There's no issue here." But Emma wasn't done. "I just don't like being lied to." "People think they can just—" Amanda interrupted softly. "Sometimes people think too little of others, simply because of what they see on the surface." There was silence. Emma walked away, mumbling under her breath. The steward gave Amanda a gentle nod of apology before returning to the galley. As the plane began its descent toward New York, Amanda looked out the window. Clouds drifted below like soft cotton, glowing under the golden light of sunset. Her baby stirred slightly and she smiled, whispering, "Almost home, my love." Emma passed by one last time, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "I hope you enjoyed your time in business class, ma'am, though I doubt we'll be seeing you again." Amanda turned her gaze toward her eyes calm but piercing. "You might be surprised," she said softly. "Next time I might be traveling here in a very different role." Emma laughed. "Oh, really? And what role would that be?" Amanda smiled faintly. "Owner." Emma froze, confused. "What did you say?" Amanda didn't reply. She just turned back to the window, watching the city lights appear far below. The narration fades in, slow and emotional. Some people see color. Others see character. But the truth has a way of revealing itself, even at 30,000 feet. And with that, the plane landed, carrying not just passengers, but a lesson waiting to be learned. The flight touched down at JFK Airport just as the sun began to set behind the skyline. Amanda waited patiently as the other passengers gathered their belongings. She didn't rush. She simply adjusted her baby's blanket and looked calm, almost peaceful. Emma stood at the exit, smiling sweetly at every departing passenger. But when Amanda approached, that smile faded into something cold and dismissive. "Goodbye, ma'am," Emma said flatly. "I hope your next flight experience meets your expectations." Amanda nodded politely. "Oh, I'm sure it will." And with that, she walked away. Inside the terminal, Amanda's driver, dressed in a dark suit, was already waiting. He took her luggage and led her to a sleek black Rolls-Royce parked just outside. Emma happened to glance through the glass doors at that very moment. Her eyes narrowed in disbelief. "Wait," she whispered to herself, "is that her?" Amanda's driver opened the car door for her and gently placed the baby seat inside. A second later, a tall, confident man stepped out of another luxury car nearby. His presence alone demanded attention. He wore a tailored navy suit, his face calm but sharp. He walked straight toward Amanda, smiled, and kissed her forehead. "Welcome home, love," he said softly. It was Daniel Carter, the billionaire founder and owner of Sky High Airlines, the very airline Emma worked for. Emma's stomach dropped. Her face turned pale. She froze behind the glass door, watching in disbelief as Amanda and Daniel entered the VIP lounge, surrounded by staff bowing respectfully. The shock hadn't even settled when her supervisor's voice came through the cabin radio. "Emma, the CEO has requested your presence in the executive lounge, immediately." Her hands trembled. "To the CEO?" she stammered. "Yes," came the firm reply. "Right now." Minutes later, Emma walked nervously into the private lounge. The room was quiet except for the sound of soft jazz playing in the background. Amanda sat gracefully on a white leather sofa, her baby asleep beside her. Daniel stood near the window reading something on his phone. When he turned around, Emma felt a chill run down her spine. "So," Daniel said calmly, "you're the flight attendant from Flight 237. Emma swallowed hard. "Yes, sir. I didn't realize." Daniel's eyes were cold. "Didn't realize what?" "That my wife was human? That she deserved respect?" Emma's lips trembled. "I didn't mean any harm, sir. It was just a misunderstanding." Amanda spoke softly but firmly. "You looked at me and decided I didn't belong in business class. You judged me because of my skin. You spoke down to me, insulted me, and in front of my child." Tears welled in Emma's eyes. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. I didn't know who you were." Amanda looked at her sadly. "That's the problem. Emma, you shouldn't have to know who someone is to treat them with respect." Silence filled the room. Daniel stepped forward, his voice steady. "Emma, this airline runs on a single principle: dignity. You've violated that. I cannot allow someone like you to represent this company." Emma's knees weakened. "Please, sir, don't fire me." "It won't happen again. I'll do anything." Daniel didn't raise his voice. "You're right. It won't happen again." He turned to the HR officer standing nearby. "Handle her termination immediately." Emma broke down. "Please, sir. I have a family." Amanda stood up, holding her baby close. "Maybe this lesson will help you remember. Every person deserves kindness, no matter their color or class." She turned and walked out with quiet grace, her husband following beside her. Outside the lounge, the staff lined up to greet them. Everyone was whispering, some out of shock, others out of admiration. Cameras flashed as Amanda and Daniel walked toward their car. The baby stirred again, and Amanda smiled softly, whispering, "It's all right." "Sweetheart, justice has a way of finding its wings." As the car drove away, Daniel reached for her hand. "You handled that better than I ever could." Amanda smiled. "Anger never changes hearts, Daniel. But truth does." The city lights reflected in the car's tinted window, shining like tiny stars, symbols of countless lives, countless faces, countless stories that go unseen.